This is a wonderful video. अगर last में revision करना है तो ये देख के जाना. Hearing का वाला ठीक है? हाँ. अभी देख लो पहले. सिर्फ hearing है. मैंने जितना सिखाया उतना ही. जी.
Listening to this music right now. Well, you might know that your speakers are creating sound and your ears are listening to it. But there's a lot more going on. You see, all your speakers are doing right now is vibrating the particles of the air close to it. Then they vibrate the air molecules close to them, and so on and so forth. And we call this a sound wave. And eventually, when the air molecules close to your ears start vibrating, we hear sound. But how does something as boring as air molecules going back and forth make us experience something like this? Well, for that, we need to look at our ear carefully. I mean the entire structure of the ear. So let's look at how the different parts of the ear work together to make us experience sound. So our ear can be divided into three parts: the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. The outer ear starts with the pinna. It's the part that you can see.
Will you be able to recognize the parts? Yes. This region is region. Region.
Outer.
Okay. This one and this one inner. What is this region? This part. Okay. This. Excellent. And this. Ear, drum or temple. Okay. Are you able to see this? Good. This is called as the malleus. Malleus, incus, and stapes. Now listen, this looks like a hammer, this looks like an anvil, and this looks like a stirrup. Are you able to see the base of it? This base is called as the oval window. Open नहीं oval.
Round window.
Open window. Oval window.
Round window.
इसमें round window नहीं दिया है, otherwise it will be here. इसमें नहीं दिया है, so you will at least remember this oval window. Next up, are you able to see these three loop-like structures? These are called as semicircular canal. And right here, can you see the solemn base-like structure? Okay, यहाँ पे ampulla. Ampulla. Is everybody fine with ampulla? Okay. Next, can you see this? 2.5 round. 2.5 round is the cochlea. Cochlea. Then next up we have is, can you see this region? So this part, auditory nerve. Auditory nerve. Next up, this stem-like portion is called as the vestibule. Vestibule. The vestibule is made up of US. Articulus, यहाँ तक आधा part, and this other part is vacuolus. Easy? Now.
about eustachian tube.
हाँ, इधर नहीं दिख रहा, ऊपर दिख रहा है. This region. This is a station tube. इसमें बहुत अच्छा से दिख रहा है. But are you able to see this is the middle ear? तो middle ear से अगर बाहर जा रहा है कोई canal-like structure, that is called as the station tube. Station tube.
part का नाम क्या ऊपर?
Which part?
Swollen part. नहीं.
The ampulla. Ampulla. A-M-P-U-L-L-A. A station tube is not a part of middle ear. It just connects.
The part that
Have a look.
my mom would twist quite often. Its job is to collect as much sound waves as possible and channel it into the auditory canal. The sound waves pass through the auditory canal and eventually meet the eardrum, which is shown in green over here. The eardrum is a transparent membrane which is super sensitive to the vibrations of the air. So as the air vibrates, even the eardrum.
The tympanum is very thin, transparent they said, है ना? दूसरा, tympanum is very thin and very delicate. The reason that we say that do not put anything which is pointed in your ear is because जब तुम earbuds भी use करते हो तो उसका इतना advisable नहीं है, क्योंकि here there are some cells which secrete that waxy substance. अगर तुमको याद होगा तो हमने किया भी था, cerebrous gland करके था, skin chapter में था. लास्ट ईयर, याद है तो ठीक है, नहीं याद है तो याद रखो। यहाँ पे बहुत सारे सेल्स थे, तो सेल्स वैक्सी सब्सटेंस सीक्रेट करते हैं, और वो वैक्स इसीलिए सीक्रेट करते हैं ताकि जो भी डस्ट है या ऐसा कुछ भी पार्टिकल है दैट डज नॉट एंटर इनसाइड एंड दैट डज नॉट क्लॉग ईयर, तो इसलिए वो यहाँ पे सब रह जाता है। सो इट्स जस्ट फॉर प्रोटेक्टिव पर्पस। बट व्हेन यू पुट दैट ईयर बड इनसाइड, तो ईयर बड का जितना डायमीटर होता है तुम्हारा ऑर्डिनरी कैनाल है ना, तो वो भी उतना ही सेम रहता है। समटाइम व्हाट हैपेंस व्हेन यू कीप ऑन डूइंग दैट अगेन एंड अगेन, यू माइट पुश ऑल ऑफ दैट ऑन द इनर साइड। जितना तुम उसको साफ नहीं करोगे, जितना ईयर ऑर्डिनरी कैनाल से तुम वैक्स नहीं निकालोगे, उससे ज्यादा कभी-कभी पुश हो जाता है। ओके, नेक्स्ट अप, you are told not to insert anything pointed because if at all by any chance accident, if it pierces this, it will rupture the tympanum. और अगर tympanum एक बार rupture हो गया, तो do you think that it will set into vibration? It will not. एक ढोल है या तबला, अगर उसको तुमने ऐसे पूरा rupture कर दिया, उसका जो membrane है, फिर बजा पाओगे इसको।
So you can't hear
So basically when this pierces off, या ये rupture हो जाता है, तो तुम्हारा hearing capacity
कम हो जाता है,
खत्म हो जाता है।
एक कान से कम
हाँ, तो एक तो है ना।
ट्रांसप्लांट हो सकता है, तो वही तो ना,
तो दोनों में कौन डाल रहा है ऐसा?
ट्रांसप्लांट।
हाँ नहीं, फिर वो those little aids that come ना, hearing aids, फिर उसका हेल्प लेना पड़ता है, तो वो इंटेंसिटी ज्यादा करके सुनाई देता है ऐसा। But then it also depends upon the condition that one is suffering. But you have to understand this is the main reason that the hearing impulse will start. तो अगर यही नहीं है, स्टार्टर ही नहीं है, तो वो प्रोसेस कैसे होगा? तो आज के बाद कभी ऐसा कुछ भी डालना मत, ठीक है? Okay, next up.
Drum starts vibrating, just like the skin of a drum. And as you can see, the eardrum also separates the outer ear from the middle ear. This brings us to the middle ear. The middle ear consists of the three tiniest bones of the human body, and they're together called the ossicles. And they have pretty cool names. They're called the malleus, the incus, and stapes. And here's the actual picture of these three bones. And because of their shapes, they're also commonly called as the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup.
इसमें तो देखिए magnify
Stirrup is where you rest your feet when you're riding your horse. Alright, so as the eardrum vibrates, you can see the ossicles also start vibrating, transferring the vibrations from the eardrums to the inner ear. Now their main job is to increase or amplify the pressure
Why
of
do
the
you
sound
think they are like
waves
this?
when it reaches
It's because
the
when they set into motion, they will amplify. Amplification समझ आता है?
हाँ तो प्रेशर
तो amplification अगर बढ़ेगा और प्लस यहाँ का surface area कम है, तो उसका प्रेशर बढ़ जाएगा। अगर ये ऐसा नहीं होता, तुम सोचो कि अगर ये एक ही सब्सटेंस होता ऐसा, तो इतना एम्प्लीफिकेशन नहीं बढ़ता। बट कैन यू सी, ये सेट करता है वाइब्रेशन में, ये इसको सेट करवाता है वाइब्रेशन में, दिस विल सेट द अदर वन इनटू वाइब्रेशन एंड दिस विल फाइनली सेट द स्टिरअप इनटू वाइब्रेशन। The moment stirrup is finally set into my vibration, that whole vibration is carried by the oval membrane to the inner ear. It is just वही तो मैंने बोला कि एक होता ना, तो उतना एम्प्लीफिकेशन नहीं होता।
और ये ऐसे थोड़ा तीन
समझ आया? और ये उनका पोजीशन तुम देख रहे हो, they are just attached at a little point to each other. So if this happens, उसकी वजह से वो एम्प्लीफिकेशन बढ़ जाता है। वो ये देखा जाइंट व्हील, अगर तुम जाइंट व्हील देखोगे तो जो कैरियर होता है ना जिसमें बैठते हैं वो दोनों साइड से सिर्फ अटैच होता है ना, that's the reason when it goes into the full swing, that also goes like this.
फेरिस
अरे फेरिस व्हील में तो क्या
What is that?
manage होता है वो ऐसे
Ferris
ही
wheel.
होता है।
जाइंट व्हील बोलते हैं उसको,
फेरिस व्हील
जाइंट व्हील बोलते हैं, सेम ना।
वही ना।
फेरिस
अरे,
whatever you understood ना,
Giant
जाइंट
wheel
बैठते हैं ना,
होता
है ना? तो जब हम उसमें बैठते हैं, जो कैरियर होता है ना, उसमें बैठते हो तो वो दोनों साइड से अटैच्ड होता है। तो व्हेन यू सिट, दो जन तीन जन बैठे तो वो ऐसे भी हिलता है और पूरा इधर भी ऐसे जाता रहता है ना। सोचो पूरा का पूरा फिक्स होता तो वो हिलता नहीं ना ऐसे, समझ आया? वो अगर पूरा नहीं ना, मजा नहीं आएगा ऐसे। हाँ तो फिर राइड का क्या मजा आएगा वो? ओके हाँ, एनीवे सो नहीं, अगर ये एक फिक्स्ड होता तो इतना एम्प्लीफिकेशन नहीं हो पाता। That's the reason there are three, and those three are fixed at a certain point so that they together work into similar action and they increase the amplification. Okay? Yes, my dear.
Why do we need to increase the pressure of the sound waves?
अच्छा नहीं लगेगा, too bad.
Because as we will see, The inner ear consists of a liquid,
Ashu, listen.
not air. So the vibrations must transfer into a liquid. And you might already know that vibrating or moving particles of liquid is much harder than moving particles of air. Which is why it's very easy for you to swing your arms in the air, but it's pretty difficult to do that inside water, like say in a swimming pool. And so to set this liquid in vibration, the pressure has to be high enough. And in fact, it turns out that our ossicles increase the pressure of the sound about 20 times. But how do they do that? Well, just take a look at the base of the stapes. It has such a small area compared to that of the eardrum. So when the force gets transmitted from the eardrum to the stapes, it gets concentrated in a very tiny area. And you might know when you concentrate force in a very tiny area, you increase its pressure. And that brings us to the inner ear. The inner ear consists of a bony structure which is shown in purple. Now as you can see, the top part of this structure consists of 3 semicircular rings. They help us in maintaining our balance while walking or dancing or whatever we do. So they're not involved in hearing, so not so important for us. The part that's involved in hearing is this snail-like structure. This is called the cochlea. What does it do? Well, although these bones have already started dancing to the music, nothing gets heard until these vibrations are converted to electricity and sent to our brain. And that's exactly what the cochlea does. Now the cochlea is super complex, and it's also a little mysterious. Even today, there are certain things about it we just don't know. And so we'll definitely not go into the details. But as mentioned earlier, it contains a liquid. And when the stirrup hits our cochlea, this liquid starts vibrating. And then there are some specialized cells in the cochlea that convert these vibrations into electrical signals. And these electrical signals go through the auditory nerves all the way to your brain, where it gets finally interpreted as sound. And the cells of your cochlea are amazing. The electrical impulses that they generate are super sensitive to how loud the sound is or how feeble the sound is. Whether it is high frequency or low frequency. And as a result, your brain can differentiate the tiniest differences in the sound. And so you can understand different letters or words or even understand what I'm saying right now. Or hear the different notes of this music. And so, to summarize, the outer ear collects the sound waves through the pinna and directs them to the eardrums. The 3 optical bones of the middle ear amplify these sound waves, transferring it into the cochlea, and the cochlea converts the back and forth vibrations of the particles into electrical signals and sends it to our brain. And regardless of how many words I use to describe what's going on, the very fact that the back and forth movement of the air can be converted into this amazing experience we call sound is truly unfathomable and beyond words.
Put it here somewhere and pause it. Structure because
Did?
okay. इतना हो गया? Do you understand how we hear? ठीक है? ये सिर्फ hearing में था. Next up, do you see the semicircular canal? Semicircular canal का काम ये है कि वो तुम्हारा balance maintain करने में help करता है. But which balance? This balance is called a dynamic balance. Dynamic balance. रुक जाओ. और static नीचे. Dynamic balance का मतलब when your body is into any of the movement. Let's say you're walking or you're jogging, you're doing exercise, you're dancing, whatever. Whenever you're dancing or walking, you don't trip here and there, na? Your body will still maintain a balance even when it's in motion. That kind of balance in your body is called as dynamic balance. तो यहाँ पे कुछ sensory cells होते हैं semicircular canal में, जो तुम्हारे body में जब movement हो रहा है तब तुम्हारा balance maintain करे, जिसको हम बोलते हैं dynamic balance. The word dynamic means changing, right? So when your body is into change or when it's into motion, वो time का हम याद रखेंगे dynamic balance. Just remember one thing, semicircular canal helps in maintaining dynamic balance.
तो ये हमारा बैलेंस मेंटेन करता है.
Yes. Along with the cerebellum, if you remember. तुमको मैंने पढ़ा नहीं ना नर्वस सिस्टम, और एक साइड में तुमने पढ़ा है कि सेरिबेलम जो होता है नीचे वाला, वो तुम्हारा, हाँ वो बराबर याद है कि वो ये कर रहा है, ये
स्कूल में तुम बड़ी दारू पियोगे तो
हाँ, तो सबसे पहले जब अल्कोहल अगर पीते हैं तो when you what do you see, जब whenever a person is under alcoholic influence, तो अरे बेटा तुम छोड़ दो जब सबका, मैं तुमको जनरल बता रही हूँ, then you will see that the person will kind of trigger in there, okay, वो इसीलिए होता है क्योंकि जो अल्कोहल है वो जल्दी एब्जॉर्ब हो जाता है ब्लड में. When it is absorbed very quickly, it goes to each and every region. It goes to the cerebellum pulse and the cerebellum is affected. जिसकी वजह से एग्जीक्यूशन नहीं होगा. वो पर्सन सोच तो पाएगा क्योंकि सोचना सेरिब्रम से होता है, बट एग्जीक्यूशन कौन करता है? सेरिब्रम. तो हाँ,
वॉलंटियर और
that is voluntary. All of that is voluntary. But हो नहीं पा रहा, इसीलिए the person might think okay now I have to walk out from this door and I have to go home. The thinking is done properly, but the moment he gets up and starts walking, he'll go here and there and might cause it. समझ आ रहा है? वो क्यों? क्योंकि cerebellum. तो cerebellum के साथ even this accounts for your dynamic balance.
जो एक पैर पे ज़्यादा देर के लिए खड़े रह सकते हैं उसे अच्छा सुनाई भी देता है.
मतलब जिसका बॉडी बैलेंस ज़्यादा अच्छा है,
हाँ.
उनको ज़्यादा अच्छे से सुनाई देता है.
नहीं, मतलब इसका मुझे कनेक्शन तो समझा.
अरे चाहिए वो मैं नहीं पूछा.
नहीं बेटा, कुछ भी मत
तो
बोलो.
ये न्यूरिंग के रिलेटेड कैसे है?
मैंने तुमको कहाँ बोला? तुम समझ, तुम सुन ही नहीं रहे हो बेटा. मैंने तुमको बोला जितना मैंने सीखा है यहाँ तक, this is for hearing. These two are not for hearing. These are for balancing. We go to another topic already.
हाँ, can you repeat how you mentioned that?
Hearing समझ आ गया? Hearing में ये वाला important. अब इसको छोड़ दो. Can you see this part? Okay, listen to this. This semicircular canal has some cells which help to maintain your dynamic balance. You do not have the process of how it occurs. You just have to remember that region has some cells which help you to maintain your dynamic balance. Dynamic balance का मतलब होता है when your body is into a movement. That time your balance is maintained and you don't fall. समझ आ रहा है? तुम स्किपिंग भी करोगे या साइकिलिंग करोगे तो गिरते गिरते साइकिलिंग करते हैं क्या? नहीं ना, तुम्हारा बॉडी तो बैलेंस में रहता है ना. समझ आ रहा? नेक्स्ट डू यू सी द स्टेम लाइक स्ट्रक्चर जो मैंने बोला था वेस्टिब्यूल है. अब ये वेस्टिब्यूल में दो है पार्ट्स, वन इज द आर्टिकुलस एंड द अदर वन इज सैक्रोलिस. दीस टू, दैट मींस द होल ऑफ वेस्टिब्यूल will help you to maintain your balance. And which balance am I talking about right now? Static balance. अब समझ आया? Static balance help करेगा. तो तुम जब अभी right now if I am standing or if you are sitting, there is no movement going on. ये वाला बैलेंस कौन हैंडल कर रहा है? वेस्टिब्यूल. If right now I start walking, तो कौन हैंडल करेगा? Easy. Next up there is a little given about motion sickness and everything. Now listen to this. Do you remember? Do you know some people have motion sickness?
Yes.
है ना? Air sickness, motion sickness ये सब होता रहता है. It's because see even if you are spinning, spin करता है ना, बचपन में करता है ना, फट है ना? तो जब तुम spin कर, हाँ, अरे खुद भी करता है ना आदमी.